Hey everyone, it's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you're at work, in the car, wherever you are, we hope you enjoy the show. Please give it a like and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play so that you can get all the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. Big thanks to the Travel Bugs for the music and our patrons, Doug Jones, Joshua and Caleb Slinkard, Tom Brotherman, Jeff Arbaugh, Deborah Burris, Joshua the Geocaching Vlogger, Nick Hubbard, Andrew Tiepkin. I lost track there for a second. Cecilia Perez, Sydney Sawyer, who's with us tonight. Like normal.
As always.
Valena Mahar, Jane Jewell. I kind of mix this up once in a while. Dano Pugach, Memphis Mafia, who is also with us tonight as normal. Craig Michelle, who will be on the show soon. The Geo Gearheads, who will also be on the show soon. Zach Fick, the Deadliest Cachers, Tim Turrell, Neil Moore, Molly the Geocaching Dog, Dee and David Vickery, Adam Labanowski, and our new patrons, Lori Post, Peter Stepanek, and the NoCo Geocachers, Northern Colorado Geocachers. If you'd like to become a patron and get on this crazy list and other things, head on over to patreon.com/geocachetalk for more details. Patrons get path tags, coins, and other swag during the year, as well as invites to special events only for patrons. Support levels start at as little as $3 a month. Well, let's get cranked up. Woo!
That was a long one.
Love the patrons, and we've said that, but we always wanted to say that. We love the patrons. We really do. We really appreciate you guys being a part of the family. So let me start by welcoming my co-hosts, Sydney Sawyer.
Hello, everybody.
Back from her mega we're going to talk about tonight. And Jesse Lunsford.
Good evening.
Who is now a Muncie King.
Oh, jump right into that, huh?
You were bragging about it all day.
Yeah, if you're going to brag about it, you got to,
I was bragging yesterday. I didn't brag today.
Oh, well, I just saw it today, so.
Yeah, he was a monster. 25,000 points, but this isn't. We're going to talk about
That's a different topic, yeah, but are you talking about today or yesterday?
Yesterday. Yeah, it was incredible.
Okay. There's some new stats out there, but we won't even talk about those right now.
That was a big day. So we are going to do a show about geocaching in Muncie. And what's interesting, there'll be a lot of cool things, I think, about it, because I think there's more to it than I think people realize. And actually, there's a lot of positives, I think, that help geocaching. And like I said, I'm not going to spoil that show, but there's a lot of positives for geocaching because of it, and that's a little snippet of what's going to come in the future for that show. So anyway, that's coming up a few weeks in the future, but tonight we're going to talk about the 2017 ASP Geocaching Mega. But before that, we have some big news that we want to talk about, and it's sort of a preview for next week. So Jesse, give us a little update of.
Yeah, so we have something that we're pretty excited about. We've launched it's a tab or page, whatever, on Geocache Talk, but it's our new blog. So yeah, it's going to be really neat. We don't want to get into all the details for next week, but the first full blog post is up. And if you check the details on it, there's ways for all the listeners to get involved with this. So this is going to be more of a collective, which we're not going to, won't get into all of that, but just like appreciating the patrons, we appreciate all the listeners. And this is more of a community and a group of friends. So we want everybody to be able to get involved in this. I think it's going to be really exciting. And do we want to, I guess I'm trying not to spoil next week. That's hard, isn't it? Because I'm kind of excited about it. So
that's all right. We can talk about talk a little bit about who we're having on next week. We switched gears a little bit. We moved the discussion about the 201 geocaches, 201 geocaches defined before you die. We moved it back in the schedule a little bit, so we moved up our discussion about the blog. So talk a little bit about next week a little bit.
Okay, so Sarah Murphy will be on, and
Woo!
she's been blogging for a while, and she has really great blogs. And most of the listeners have probably heard of her before, heard of her as Geocaching Junkie. They've probably seen her around before. A good hint to where she's coming from, which is pretty interesting, is that our show will be early next week.
Yeah.
So I don't,
That's yeah.
yeah. So that's a pretty good hint that she's across the pond, so to speak. But her blogs are great. She's been blogging for a while, and I think she's going to add a good new element. Geocache Talk has always been about trying to get all the different forms of media, so vlogs, blogs, podcasts, all of it, YouTube. We're trying to hit it all. So this is another big element of the show, and I think it's going to be really good. And I think everybody should tune in next week to get an idea of what exactly she's got in store, because of course it won't be just a normal vlog. So
right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's something Sarah's been on the show now actually a couple times. She was on for Podcast of Hope, and I had her on early on in the show as well. But yeah, since she's in Ireland, we're moving next week's show up to 3 p.m.
3 p.m.
So yeah, next week, Sunday, 3 p.m. Join us in the chat room. We're going to talk more with her and get some more information, because we got, like I said, we got some more things about her blog that we want to share about her blog, and then also about our blog will all be discussed. And we're going to talk a little bit also about some of her latest. She went to a Giga recently, and just cool stuff that Sarah's doing over in Ireland, so in Europe. So looking
Can't
forward
gloss
to
over the fact that you just said she went to a Giga.
I know.
It's like no big deal.
I'm like,
No big
nothing.
deal.
Just a giga.
Yeah, for them it's nothing over there.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know
like-
anybody that's been to one.
Well, going to an event in Europe is so much easier. It's so small over there that you could just drive like an hour and be through like 3 countries, I think, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's going to be a challenge over there. How many countries in one day? I'm sure.
I heard that someone did like 12 in a day or something like that. I
Oh
heard.
my gosh.
I don't know
That's a lot of
how
states,
accurate
much
that
less
is.
countries. Yeah, they still have a border. It's not like it's just
Well,
wide
yeah. But and the things, like EU, in the EU, people can move pretty quick through countries. I mean, they move pretty quick especially if you're an EU citizen, you can get through the EU portion pretty quickly. So anyway,
One day.
So, yes, right. So, all right. So a couple news items, then we're going to get into the topic for tonight. So Geocache Talk is now available on Amazon's Alexa. So I know it's a weird note, but it's kind of cool. So you can, if you have an Amazon Alexa, you can now like tell Alexa to play Geocache Talk, and it'll play the podcast. So, Alexa, if somebody turn your Alexa, get your Alexa ready. I'm gonna ask it to play. So you ready? Here we go. Alexa, ask Podbean to play the podcast Geocache Talk, and it would just have started just like that.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I actually have one of these, so I'll have to try it out.
gotta play with it and try it out. So
Yeah.
Maybe that'll start the show next week.
There you go. So
I'll just have it set up over here and
so you can tell it to play, and you could tell it like play. I think you can, if you get real good at it, you can tell it like which episode you want to play. I don't know if it's like show 49. If you play show 49 or whatever, you have to kind of play with it a little bit to figure it out. But anyway, so Alexa is now doing Geocache Talk podcast. So I thought that was kind of cool. And another quick note, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want to mention that there have been some core improvements to the geocaching app. And so it's called 5.3. And if you have the new version of the geocaching app, they've got some new things. I didn't realize they didn't have this before, but you can set your preferred distance units, so imperial or metric. I assume that was already there. I didn't realize it wasn't. And you can turn off the dreaded 30-foot warning when approaching a cache. which I know some people hate it. And so
Here's how little I use that app. I didn't even know that was a thing.
So I know Sydney's mentioned before the show she hates that little stupid 30-foot warning thing.
Well, so I don't really use the app either. I mostly just use it for messages, but occasionally I'll just go on there to see if it, just to check something out. Like if I'm right at a cache, I don't know. And then I click it and then this warning pops up. I'm like, I see the cache right there. Obviously, I don't need your warning to tell me I'm within 30 feet.
In the chat room, it doesn't look like a lot of people are using that app. CGO, of course, and Cashly.
Yeah,
somebody
CGO
said it won't even work on their iPhone 4 anyway.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, that's true. Yep. Yeah. Which, by the way, since one of our sponsors is Cashly, we are going to mention, this is a good opportunity to mention it, is that Nick is going to be on the show, but we're waiting because Nick's such a great friend of the show. We're going to wait until either right before 3.0 comes out or right after 3.0 comes out, because Nick is working on getting Cashly 3.0 ready, and so we want to really coincide a show right at that time. So we've actually we got Nick on sort of floating right now. We're not sure what show he's going to be on, but we're checking with him periodically to see when would be best to have him on. So if you're wondering, why hasn't Nick been back on the show yet? It's because we're kind of waiting to get to a point where we can kind of get him back on the show at a really perfect time. So anyway, in the show notes, there's a link. I'm sure y'all have read some things about it. The other thing I want to mention, because we're not going to, again, we're going to talk about other things tonight, but what do you two think about this fact that they're now enforcing the rules, and when you find either cache, attend an event? I didn't realize you could like mark yourself attended more than once. Webcam photo. I mean, I didn't realize you could do that one more than once. Or a will attend. Anyway, so apparently you can't do those anymore as duplicate logs. If you attempt to do a duplicate of it, it automatically changes it to notes. So what do y'all think?
I am super unexcited. Out of all the things, and they actually have been doing some updates lately, so I'm hoping that's leading to bigger things. I'm not mad about the updates they did to the website. It's still in the initial stages, so I think it'll be made a little more colorful eventually. It's a big white page right now, but I think some of it is improvements. Definitely, it's updated. Why they would care much about double logs? I mean, there's so many ways to take care of that anyway. Hopefully they're doing that, and we'll find out why later, because it's a big improvement for something else. Mm-hmm. It's not retroactive, which is good, because I know in the past, like there's where I see it with conflict is there's one virtual that's called the Population Center or Population Bullseye Center.
Right.
And it was one virtual that was placed, but if you go to the Population Center and it's listed out on there in all 50 states, you can claim it more than once. It's a really old one or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I know in events before, people would do temporary caches before lab caches came out.
Right.
And they would let you log it multiple times based on, I found this cache here, like at Moga, those little caches or whatever. So that's the only reason why I know people did it intentionally before.
Sure.
So
surely they're not doing all this computer work just because of that old practice. So it's got to be something more to it, in my opinion.
Yeah. No,
I'm not sure. So. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about the reasoning. I haven't heard people complain about this, because usually that's why they change things or they're trying to improve something. But I haven't heard much complaints about the double logs or whatever. But I don't see it as being a big problem for me. But I mean, I don't care either way, really.
Right.
I mean, if some people want to do that, go ahead. I don't personally do that unless it's like some extenuating circumstance. Mm-hmm. But I mean, everybody plays their own way. I could care less what anybody else does.
I couldn't imagine that actually makes a difference to anybody.
Sure. Well, like you said, maybe this is a precursor to some other changes that we do like or we really care about coming up soon. Maybe, we got the change at the top. We've got a new, Jeremy's not been switched roles, and so now, maybe, it's always possible. So we'll wait and see. So
I'll keep my fingers crossed for an update to where it goes, and then I'll be happy. They're a little behind.
So. A little behind. Well, yeah, very much so. Hopefully, people are doing Where I Go's using like a really good app like Your I Go or something else. There's a couple of good ones out there, but that's for another show.
Yeah.
All right. We're here tonight to talk about the 2017 ASP Geobash Mega and get a recap of the weekend from Sydney. So, Sydney, we're going to ask you some questions, and you can give us some info here in a minute. But it was this weekend, and it was so people will know, it was at this Allegheny State Park. That's why it's ASP, Allegheny State Park. It was the 12th year, and we talked about a lot of this. I don't want to go into a lot of detail because we did talk about this a few shows ago with Devon C. Yep. I had the C part in my head. I was thinking of Devon C. Yep. So how was kind of walk us through some of the beginnings of getting to Allegheny State Park this year, and what was your initial reaction to the weekend, and then we'll get into all the details as we go.
Sure. So I know I mentioned this before, but this ASP Mega, it's at a state park. So a big portion of the event is that people go for the whole weekend or 4 days or whatever, and they camp. So we stayed in a tent at the campgrounds at the park for the weekend. I saw a lot of trackable cars in the campgrounds, so it seemed a lot of people were doing that. I saw a lot of people from Canada come, people from Pennsylvania, Ohio, like Massachusetts. I saw a couple people, so people come from all over to come to this.
Now, it's interesting you mentioned before the show about the fact that because of the uniqueness of Allegheny State Park, I mean, it's it's not a state park next to a big town or something like, possible. I mean, you're kind of out a little bit into the, you're roughing it a little bit out there. And so you had no cell service. Of course, you knew that going into it. So you had to, if you wanted to discover a lot of those trackables that are on cars and such, you had to kind of take a photo and do it later, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So like Gary said, it's not a state park that's right next to a big city. It is probably the first or second biggest state park in the state of New York. It's right along the border of Pennsylvania, and it's in the middle of nowhere. Like at the campgrounds where we were staying, you get no cell phone service whatsoever. So I was trying to meet up with friends, and I'm like, well, you can't really text me when you're coming or where you are because I won't get your text because I don't have cell service. So that's an interesting part that you definitely need to prepare for. Like I had all my caches saved offline.
Mm-hmm. That's cool though. I mean, that's very unique. Now, your GPS will still work on your phone in case anybody wonders or it's never been to a point where I've done that before. Susan and I have gone out to the middle of nowhere, but I did do an offline list with like Cashly, and then just kept it. And then so your GPS will work if you had to use it, but hopefully you have a GPS of some sort. Here's my GPS. So I have a Garmin, my little cute little Garmin. What were you using, Sydney, for your?
So I brought both. I have a Garmin eTrex that I brought as well as my phone. Okay. So I had both just in case, but mostly I was just using my phone because it's just easier for me. Yeah, personally.
Well, that's the cool thing about offline lists too, is you can put all your put it all in there and just go from there. So
right. But the hard part is they published a bunch of new caches for this that published like the day of. So that's the hard part since there's no cell service.
Right.
You can't, I mean, you can find somewhere to download them. Like there's some spots in the park where you get decent enough service and then you can save them. But they also post like a list at the event site with the coordinates, so you could type them in if you really wanted to.
Oh, but okay, that's cool.
That's one of the most challenging parts about it is that you don't have signal.
So, speaking of being somewhere not all the time, but some of the time out in the middle of nowhere, Jesse, you sometimes get out in the middle of nowhere. What's your
phone all the time?
Do you? So you just offline lists is your
offline list. We have 3 GPS units. One's still brand new in the box that we won at a mega event, and I don't know how to use it. And we never use a GPS. The phone works. It gets close enough, even out deep in the mountains, and you have to download them to offline list just like a GPS if you're going to be out of cell service anyway. So I'd rather also have a camera since I also have my phone there anyway. So
no, it's good. Yeah, that's and with like we did too. That's kind of what we do. But,
and where I goes, I'm just gonna throw that out there again.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, there you go. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, the Where I Go app works offline as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Now a couple of things that you didn't get to go to, but we'll kind of mention, and that is that the weekend starts on Thursday night. They do a pizza, at least this time around. They did a pizza and mountain pies, which is kind of cool event. And then they do a bonfire.
Right.
Correct?
So Friday night, traditionally, I think for the whole time they've had this event, they have a bonfire meet and greet style event. And they have usually a musician or band come in and play, and they make a big bonfire and you sit around and chat. And then Friday night, they post new night caches. So a lot of people go to the bonfire, hang out for a while, and then go find the night caches when they're published.
Did you go to the night caches?
Unfortunately not. I know.
Oh, stop the show. That's it tonight. Thanks everybody.
We're going home.
That's it.
I have an excuse though.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So I actually didn't get to the park until 11:30 p.m. on Friday.
Oh.
So night cache is not allowed after 11:30?
Well, I drove. My little sister had a dance recital in Buffalo at 7 p.m. on Friday, and that thing lasted 3 hours. And then I drove to Allegheny, 2 hours from Buffalo.
Wow.
So I was driving a lot, and it was late, and I was just like, I just want to go to bed.
I don't blame you.
Why did you pull out the family card? Now we can't make fun of you. That's what I know. That's not fair.
That was really sweet of you to do that, Sydney. Very good of you.
It always seems they happen on the same weekend. It's really
which brings us to
the recital and the ASP are on the same weekend every year.
Every year, which brings me to my next question, which is everybody's wondering: did it rain?
No.
Oh wow!
No rain.
One of the few times it doesn't rain at ASP. Well, that's a shock.
I know. I think it's rained every year that I've been there, which is the past 3 years. Except this year, it's rained the past 2, but people are saying it's like that's just how it is. So this year it was actually really sunny and warm and no rain, so everybody was all happy and
very cool. Well, awesome. Well, so you got there late. So tell us a little bit about Saturday. What all happened? Start at the beginning on Saturday.
Okay, so Saturday morning, I actually did some volunteering at the pre-order pickup table. Cool. I got to chat with a lot of people that were coming up and picking up their stuff. I got this lovely bag for volunteering.
Yes, check out the bag.
Some other goodies. They had a special volunteer path tag that I got. So
cool. That
awesome. Was fun. Yeah, and that's
a good way to meet people, like you said, that you might not be able to, because this particular mega doesn't have a lot of. It's not like a Woodstock or some of the other ones. It's not really designed for that kind of thing. So like you said, this probably was a good chance for you to kind of mingle and get to meet some people that are hopefully listen to the show. Hopefully.
Yeah, a lot of people came up to me and said, "Oh, you're the U.S. Geocaching Hour person, or you're on that podcast," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And so it was
cool.
it was fun. And
Did
they
you
were
see Adam there?
Yeah,
He's
Adam was there.
Right oh, there you go.
Yep.
There you go. Awesome.
He was volunteering at the ammo can toss, which is another
Right.
traditional ASP activity that they have.
So talk a little bit about, in case people missed the other show, but talk a little bit about the ammo can toss. This is great.
Right. So they have 3 different size ammo cans. So they kind of break you up into groups. They have the men throw one size ammo can, the women throw a smaller one, and then they have a kids one, which is just like a little tiny one. And they put like rocks and stuff in it. So you have to get up and you have to chuck this ammo can as far as you can. And then Adam would run out there with your little flag and put the flag in the ground where it landed. And then whoever threw it the furthest gets a special prize.
How long does one ammo can last before they need to replace it with the next ammo can?
I think they were all still in good condition. I think they've had them for a few years, actually. Those things are hefty.
Yeah, they're made to last. So
I guess so. Military grade. They are pretty solid because I guess they're ready to be used, out in combat. So that's awesome. Okay, I didn't mean to derail you. So so
that's okay.
Pre-order pickup table, and then some other cool stuff about the table, I guess, or what you did.
Right. So they had some really cool swag. I ordered a bunch of stuff. I have the hoodie on right now.
Sweet. I love it.
A little bobcat on it with the campfire.
Yeah.
And they had a set of path tags that I got. They had geocoins that I got. They had all sorts of stuff. So here, I'll give you a little peek at what the geocoins look like. I got one here. So here is the geocoin. I don't know if you can see it. I'm not very good at this.
They're okay. Back up.
But there's
a
bobcat on there.
Come back just a touch. There you go. Perfect. Stop right there.
It's got some glitter on it.
Not quite, but that's okay. Yep. I like that one.
And then actually on the back, let me see if I can show you the back at all. I'm, like I said, not good at this yet. Plus my camera is reversed, so I like move my hand one way.
Yep. No, you're
it's
good.
Got a campfire.
Yes.
And then this up here at the top is actually the shape of the park itself.
Oh, okay. On the top of the geocoin. Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, that's a cool idea. That's awesome.
Yeah. So the coins this year are really nice.
That's a big coin too. I mean,
They always make really big ones, and they're really thick.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I've got the one. I got the one,
which is really nice. And I also got the night cache version, which we talked about on the other episode. So that one actually glows in the dark.
Ooh,
that's cool. That's very cool.
So that's pretty nifty. That would be hard to show. So maybe I'll take a picture and post it on Twitter or something if someone really wants to see. Gary's looking for his coin.
That's right. He's got to show off his coins now.
I know.
I found it. Well, no, I just need to find it because these are. I've shown it before. I won't.
This one?
Yeah, that one. The ASP one.
Oh wait, no, this is a different one.
That's a different one. Yep, that one's cool too. Yep.
Yeah.
They have in their big thick coins. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, they do a great job. These are probably Chris Mackey designed, I'm sure.
I believe so. Yeah. They're really nice.
So coins, a sweatshirt, the bag behind you. You kind of cleaned up on. I'm assuming some other swag too, right?
I spent a lot of money on stuff.
I think we predicted that.
You saved up for it. That's okay. You were ready. This is your mega for the year, right? I mean, this is your
right. This is the main one that I go to every year because it's so close.
Yeah, very cool.
Cool.
So what? So you said you bought these, of course, from the regular store. Who else did you see there?
So they had Red Hat Geocaching store. They make a lot of shirts and hats. So they were there. They had a whole table with a bunch of bins set out with different shirts with different slogans like, I don't know, geocachers know the best place to hide a body and, some other little funky ones like that. And then Space Coast Geocaching Store was also there. So that was awesome. They had like 3 or 4 tables full of trackables and geocoins and cache containers and pretty much anything you could possibly imagine. So I bought quite a few things from them.
It's hard to walk by their table without finding something that you want to take home.
I know. They had so much good stuff.
They have great stuff. Love Space Coast.
I bought this bison tube that's about as big around as I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a geocoin, I guess. And it's like 3 inches tall. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I just had to have it.
that actually can hold swag. It's big enough you can actually put like literally path tags or other swag inside of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking I might actually put my path tags in there and then instead of just like the little bag and then just take that with me.
Oh yeah. There you go. Very cool.
So what else did you have up there? Was there breakout sessions?
There was a couple actually.
Yeah.
Right. So I think they had like an Earth Cache session, but I didn't get a chance to go to that one. But the one I did go to, they had a Q&A with some of the local reviewers.
Oh, very
so that
cool.
was interesting. So people were just asking questions about, different processes or stuff like that, and they would answer. And at the end, they gave away a couple prizes, and also Ben and Jamie, the lackeys, were also at the event with their 2-year-old daughter.
Cool.
Interesting fact: their 2-year-old has attended 8 mega events.
Whoa!
Wow,
that's awesome.
I'm impressed.
I thought that
got
was
me beat.
Yeah, that was interesting. But I was able to talk to Ben. He said he would be on the show.
Okay.
So look forward to that, everyone. We're gonna try and get him on.
We'll hold him to that.
Yeah, he gave me his business card, so I'm gonna hold him to it.
Cool.
And then I'm gonna frame the business card, so you know.
So get it.
Should have been like, can you sign this for me, please?
Yeah, really.
No, I didn't though.
Did they give out the lackey tags there too? Did you get his?
I have the lackey tags.
Cool.
Like I said, I'm bad at showing this, but here is
the lackey tag. Yep, they're always cool.
Here's Ben's tag and Jamie's tag. I can't. I'm terrible. I'm sorry, people that are watching this. I'm just not good at that.
You're doing good.
Adam mentioned in the chat room there was a geocoin and path tag design seminar.
Oh, yes, I heard that too. I didn't get to go to that one either.
That would probably be pretty cool to go to though if you had time. I know they have a lot of them at a lot of those things.
They have actually quite a lot of stuff going on, but I was just, like I said, I volunteered in the morning, so then I was kind of catching up on the other stuff that people were doing in the morning that I was kind of doing later in the day.
Right.
With all of that, did you have time to go after the lab caches?
Oh, yes. So after I volunteered, we went and did the lab caches. They were 10 gadget caches, and some of them were really hard.
That's
like
cool.
One of them was, let me see if I can explain this to you guys. There was a PVC pipe with a pill container in it, but the PVC pipe had holes drilled in it and other pieces of PVC stuck in the holes with locks in them. So you couldn't get the PVC or the pill container out.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so you had to figure out the combination to these locks to get the pieces of PVC pipe out so you could get the code word out of it.
Gotcha.
Oh.
And there were some people in there working on that for like an hour, I think, sitting there.
Nice.
That was, I think, the hardest one.
That's cool. So you got all 10?
Yeah. And it was kind of cool because they were all like around the main event area. Like you didn't have to go drive elsewhere. You could just walk around the main area.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. At least lately, at least the last two that Jesse and I went to, you had to go places. I mean, we went all over town.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this is different because this is in a park, so I can kind of see why they don't want you to go too far. But I don't. So I think Jesse would. I don't know if I would spend an hour trying to get a lab cache, but
yeah,
I guess I would.
Well, the thing. So the problem was, so people are sitting there trying to figure this out, and then you start getting a line.
Yeah.
Like of people waiting. So like the pressure is on. Right. You have all these people watching you and people chiming in with what they think it is. So for some of them, I had to just come back later because there's just a huge line and I had other stuff I wanted to do. So
I've seen that at, if anybody's seen the video from Joshua on, it was Woodstock 13. They were doing the gadget caches. They were lab caches around the area. And there's pathways and there's a big line waiting to get their turn. So I think I think I'd have done what you did. Come back a little later and give it a shot. So
right.
Yeah, that's the only way when you have that many people. Going caching at a mega is not the same as normal because there's only so much space for 1,000 people to be caching in an area. You're going to line up pretty quickly.
Right.
Well, and very unique. I mean, not very unique. It's different. Like you said, you're in a state park in a rural area, so it's not like 14er because you're in a. Well, it's a suburb, but still, you're pretty much in the city.
Yeah.
I mean, and so, but I like the way that you guys did it up in Denver, Jesse, with the different, the beer tour and the different kind of. You kind of incorporated the area into the lab caches and everything. I think that's kind of neat. Moga was like that. This year's Texas Challenge, I know they've done the same thing over a few years, but the idea of incorporating the flavor of the city within the lab caches. Now, this is different because you're at the same park every year. Now, are they going to have a same park? Are they going to have it back there again next year too?
Yep.
Okay.
They we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get there.
That's fine.
Talk about that.
All right.
You're jumping ahead, Gary.
I'm sorry. I won't get to that. But anyway, yeah, very cool. Keep going.
But before we move on, there were some other games, right, that you were going to talk about?
Right. So I already mentioned the ammo can toss.
Mm-hmm.
They also had a kids coloring contest. They had a creative cache contest, so people bring in their creative caches, and then I guess people vote on. I'm not sure. I didn't get to check that out. I don't know if people vote or if there's judges. But that's kind of cool. And then they have like a geo bingo where you have the little bingo board and it has different things on it. So you have to go around and talk to people and say, "Hey, have you done any of these things on my bingo board?"
I like that one.
So a lot of people eventually at one point, some people had come up to the table where I was volunteering and said, "Hey, can you sign any of these?" And then I said, "Yeah, I can sign this one." And then I guess that word spread I was one of the people that could sign that square. And people were like, "You, bingo square for me." And I was like, "All right, sure."
What was the square?
It's
like Jesse.
Have hidden a traditional, an unknown, a multi, a where I go, and an earth cache.
Oh, that was the one.
That was.
I was thinking it was going to be the tattoo square.
Yeah.
That actually was not on there. It wasn't one of the ones.
That's what I was thinking of, because when word got out that Jesse was a human trackable, they were just, which worked great because everybody was coming to the Geocache Talk table because they're all looking for Jesse to sign the square. His bingo square.
And the question came up about the lab caches too, and this is a good one. Were they secured to the location, or could they move away?
No, they weren't secured.
Oh, you got some good trustworthy cachers up there then.
They didn't have. I didn't hear about any issues. Like, they were all still there. I went back for the two really hard ones at like 6:00, and they were still there, and they still worked and everything. So.
Yeah, Adam says
no problem.
Adam said he was signing the discovered over 200 trackables. That's
right. They had a couple really hard ones that only a few people had done. So they were like, oh, it's that guy over there that needs to sign this square, and that's the person that needs to sign. It was really funny.
That's fun.
Like they had one for has found over 8,000 caches, and I think maybe only like 1 or 2 people at the event. I don't know for sure, but that's what I heard. But there was only like 2 people that could fill a certain square.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's quite a few. I mean,
yeah, it's a lot.
They had some really hard ones on there.
That's cool though.
Those are always good icebreakers for people that are not used to walking around a big event, or maybe this is their first event and they don't, or if they're from out of town and don't know anybody there. Right. I like that bingo card. They actually do that at some of the bigger non-mega events around here too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very popular game. I know a lot of events around here that do it. And then if you completed your card, you get a free raffle ticket to put in for the prizes.
I think it worked great too, Jesse, probably back me up on this too. The fact that we had people who maybe they'd see the Geocache Talk table, but they're like, I don't know what to say, because we usually, I had books to sell, but normally a media table doesn't really have, most of the media tables don't have anything they're selling per se. But if they're not familiar with the show, they're kind of like, well, I don't really know what to say. And so we had a lot of people come up and they're doing the bingo, which gave us opportunities to tell them a little bit about the show. And like, oh, so some people are like very interested, like, oh, we've never heard of this. Well, we get a lot of people like that. They're just finding the show.
They were just starstruck, Gary. They couldn't approach you, and they needed that icebreaker to approach you. They were getting sweaty, and they couldn't talk to you.
No, none of that. But but what's interesting is that really does give a chance for people to talk. Really does. So
it does, and everybody's different. Some people are fine in that situation. Some people need that icebreaker, and you can walk up to anybody and it's absolutely normal in a group of 500 people if you've got that sheet in your hand. So
yep,
it's good. It's a good one to do.
Right.
Yep. Now, did they do something similar? Do they have a silent auction, or do they kind of do some kind of? Moga is really big about their raffle things, huge. But like at Texas Challenge, they do like a silent auction. How do they do things at ASP?
So they had a few things. The biggest one is like your pick a prize style. They have a bunch of tables, I think like maybe 6 or so tables full of prizes, and then you buy some raffle tickets and you put them in the bag for whatever you want to try and win. Right. So they had a lot of stuff for that. Like people donated camping supplies or geocoins or t-shirts or a whole slew of different stuff, and not just geocaching stuff either. Like they had some nice paintings and some like restaurant gift certificates and stuff like that.
Very cool.
And then they also have a silent auction. So they have the prize there, and then you write down what you're willing to pay for it, and then whoever bids the most gets it. So that's kind of interesting as well. But I didn't do any of that because those prices were up really high when I got there.
Well, it works good for these different megas because they do. It's a good way to raise money. I know that the different ones we've been to, they do end up, because they usually are all donated items. So, yep. So it's a cool idea.
And if they have a charity like Moga did,
yes,
that's a good way to. Yeah, they start getting people are okay putting a little higher price on the silent auction when they know it's going to charity.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. Yep. I know that, and Ryan's going to give us an update eventually about Moga as far as what they end up giving for charity, because he wants to get an actual final number before he gives it to us, so we can give people an idea, because that's such a great thing that these megas do.
Right. Absolutely.
So outside of all this, did you have much time to get many geocaches?
I got a couple. The main highlights for me was a couple months ago there was 3 new Earth caches published at the park, so I did 2 of those, so that was really cool. One was about fossils, so I guess the one creek in the park has a lot of fossils in it, so that was kind of cool. You got to go down there and look on all the rocks for different kinds of fossils, so that was fun.
That's cool.
Did you have those downloaded before you went, or did you have to sneak somewhere to get those downloaded?
No, I had those downloaded. Like I said, it was a couple months ago that they were published, so it wasn't like really recently. So I had those ahead of time.
What was your, and not to skip ahead too far, but what was your favorite part of the event?
So later in the day, about 6 o'clock, they had a path tag and path tag trading kind of event. So everybody that has a personal path tag goes there, and they clear out the room of all the tables, and you can go there and trade your path tags with everybody. So this is only a few of the path tags I have that I got traded. There's about
a whole bag. That's cool.
Yeah, a whole bag. Like I think I got 24 maybe.
Oh, awesome.
That I traded for. And they also were playing something new, path tag LCR. So I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but left, right, center is what it's called. So you have a buy-in, and for the path tag one, you have to bring 3 path tags, and that's like your bid for this game, right? So you roll the dice, and if you get an L, you have to pass 1 path tag to the left. If you roll an R on the dice, you have to pass 1 to the right, and if you roll a C, you have to put 1 in the center. And then there's sides on the die that are just dots, so that's good. That means you get to keep your path tags. So the last person to have 1 tag left wins the whole pot of path tags.
Oh, wow.
So you end up with 30 path tags or so from everybody else.
How many people were sitting around the table at one time?
I think anywhere from 7 to 10, somewhere around there.
So that could be a good amount of path tags.
Right. So, but you're risking it. You got a 1 out of 10 chance or 1 out of 7 chance of winning. I didn't win, unfortunately, but it was still fun.
Well, but you're risking 3 path tags, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's not bad. I mean, for 3 path tags, it's worth it. Worth fun. It's a fun game. Entertaining for 3 path tags, right?
Yeah, it was fun.
It'd be a little harder to risk 3 geocoins, I think.
Yeah,
they do it with geocoins, and I would not want to do that.
That's the high stakes table, though.
It's a high stakes. That's for sure. It's awesome.
So,
I mean, you could with that geocoin one, I assume it'd be whatever you have geocoin wise, right? I mean, most people don't have personal geocoins. I guess some people do. But...
Right.
Okay.
Cool, it'd still be hard to part with 3 geocoins like that, even on a gamble. It'd be nice to walk away with 30, but
yeah, that is cool. That's something that Coon and Bud would do. He's there's some people that are they're really into coins. I mean, really into them. We all love them. I got some. We all have some, but certain people are really love them.
Yeah, Salty in the chat room mentioned geocoin poker. Have you ever seen that happen at a mega? I've never been brave.
I think they did that at Woodstock, didn't they? Not at the day of the mega, but at one of the prior events. I think they had that.
They did that at the pre-registration, didn't they, Jesse? At that?
Oh, event? Yeah, they did. They did do that. Yeah, I didn't get to stick around for it, but yeah, they did do that. And I saw it at the GeoCoin Fest in Nebraska.
Okay, yeah,
there too. So, that comes down to skill at that point. You've got to be a decent poker player, and then you're going to walk away with some coins or not, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you bring ones you can get. You don't mind getting rid. Or you don't mind losing. I guess that's the idea, right? So.
Right. Yeah. That's still because those are expensive. Path tags are less than $1 each or something.
Yeah, or
so
coins are
that would be hard.
Yeah, at the cheapest, the coins are at least $10, if not more, usually.
Yeah, you're not going to get them super cheap. So $30 buy-in still, that's not too bad.
No, that's not bad.
It just hurts worse when it's a coin you're giving away instead of a $10 bill.
Well,
right.
I mean, I've given away duplicates at events before, so I don't really have any duplicates. So I guess I kind of don't want to give away. If I had duplicates, that'd be kind of cool because then you're like, oh, I already got that coin. So
yeah, I'm sure that's what people do a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
So what else were your, I guess, highlights?
So they did have a big announcement. I hope Devin doesn't mind that I'm spilling the beans here, but I guess it's out there technically. So they usually pick a mascot for the next year's event, like a couple months or 6 months or so ahead of the event. But their big announcement this year was next year's mascot is the Luna Moth.
Is that kind of like the New Jersey Devil? Is this like a cryptozoology?
I think it's like some sort of like firefly or lightning bug kind of thing. Like it lights up at night. I hadn't heard of it.
It's real, honestly. Or is this like a?
I think so. I don't know. Should we Google it?
I'm gonna Google it because I'm thinking it's like the the.
I think it's a real thing.
Or something. Oh, okay. It appears to be a real thing. It just sounds like it's like Mothman or something. The Luna
shows how
Moth.
much we know about nature and stuff.
Yeah, aren't we bad? Yeah, it's real. Oh, it's kind of cool looking though.
Yeah, I'm not hurt that I'm not an entomologist. It's okay. We'll be all right. We have other hobbies. We'll be okay.
The Luna Moth. That's kind of cool looking. They'll make for a good coin. Are y'all checking this thing out?
Somebody says it's
so. I guess it doesn't.
Moth.
Yeah,
it doesn't light up apparently, but it's pretty sweet. That's a big part of the Geobashes. They always pick a mascot, and this year's was the Bobcat. Obviously, he's on the sweatshirt. Yeah. He's on the coins. He's on their signs and everything. So it's a big thing that they do. And they also gave away these little tiny coins. It has the little Luna Moth on it. So
cool.
They gave those away to everyone that went.
Oh, neat.
So that was kind of cool.
Very awesome.
So any other big thoughts from, and I know this is, how many times have you been?
This is my 3rd year. And every time I go, I kind of find a new place to check out. So some people probably think that, it's just a state park. Like there's not much to do there other than hiking, but there's a lot of interesting stuff. Like they have, there's some old ski jumps there. There's, they had a tornado roll through in like the 30s or 40s, I think. So you could go to the site of the tornado and see all the wreckage and stuff. But this year, what I checked out was they have an abandoned zoo at the Allegheny State Park. So it opened in 1933, and it was technically called like an outdoor museum. But they had a bear exhibit and like tanks for fish and snakes and stuff, and then they would actually release them back into the wild at the end of the season, and then bring in new animals the next year.
Wow.
So you can go and you can see the ruins of their pavilion, and the little bear cave is still there and stuff. So that was pretty interesting.
Would that be a ghost zoo, like a ghost town?
Yeah.
It kind of was, yeah.
Exactly.
I've never heard of that before.
It's a ghost zoo. That's awesome.
Ghost zoo. That'd be a good place for a night cache.
Ooh, yeah.
A big spooky one.
Very cool.
All right.
So you're a big fan. You're gonna go next year, if you don't end up with family duties again that you gotta go to. Or?
I'm sure I will, but I'll probably go to both. But it's not very far from my house. It's only like 2 hours, so it's the closest one to me, and I always enjoy. We enjoy camping. We usually go a couple times a year, so this is just like a combo kind of thing. So it works out really well for us.
Right, and so most megas leave their any of the new caches will still be there, so you can always go back and do anything you missed.
Yep, I think there's still caches from 2 or 3 years ago. The one thing is that state parks in New York have a 2-year limit on their permits. So usually every 2 years, they either archive it and publish a new cache in the same spot, or they'll just archive it and put a new one somewhere else.
Okay. Very cool. Yep.
So it keeps it fresh. There's still some new caches every year. I mean, even if like you've been 3 years, but there were still new caches for you to find.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you found the one cache 2 or 3 years ago, but then you could go back there again and find the new published one in the same spot. So that's kind of nice.
That's a hint, right? It's a little secret edge you've got there for that cache.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they might change it up. I'm not sure how much they change it up because I haven't actually found, one of the same ones twice. But I think they hide it in a little bit of a different spot, just in kind of the same general area.
So before we wrap it up, anything else about the ASP Geobash?
I don't know. You really put me on the spot here.
You got to convince us, me and Gary, to go next year.
I know. It's it's really fun. Like I said, we really like camping, so this is like a really fun event for us. You go, you hang out all weekend, you cook s'mores on the fire, and pretty much there's a little bit of something for everybody. I mean, the big thing is the night caches, which a lot of people in this area like, especially because there's not many parks around that you can be in at night. So that's something that everybody likes to do, especially because most of them stay in the park, and then you can kind of just roam around and then head back to your site in the wee hours of the morning after you find some night caches.
That sounds fun. The only megas I've been to have been, all city locations. Nothing like what you're talking about there. That sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
Right. And it can be a real challenge because you're out in the middle of nowhere, but it kind of just makes it really nice because you don't hear the cars going over the freeway, and you don't see people zipping down the road, and so it's really fun.
I think it needs to be on the list for next year.
Yep, I think so.
Very cool. Very cool. Yep. Well, thank you, Sydney, for giving us updates, and hopefully everybody, I'm sure I enjoyed hearing about the different megas. That's a very unique one too. I think that's always a good one to talk about. So, so coming up on the show next week, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but I want to mention again for show 51, we're going to have on Sarah Murphy, the geocaching junkie. We're going to talk about geocaching and blogging with her, and it's a special time. It's going to be 3 p.m. Central, so adjust your schedule and your reminders accordingly for that show. And then a week after that, June 4th, is show 52. Been 1 year. Daryl W. Forup is going to be on the show. He was on show 1, so he's going to be on show 52. I think it's going to be a tradition. We're going to have Daryl on every year on the anniversary, I think. Because
we're just going to force him to come back.
Yeah, we'll force him to come back. Yeah, and I think he was really excited about doing it, and it's just fun to talk to Daryl anyway. But to do it on the 1 year anniversary, I think will make it even more special. So that's coming up in a couple weeks, and then show 53 on June 11th. We are gonna. That's where we moved the talk discussion about the book 201 Geocaches to Find Before You Die, and also discuss the Lower Wilson algorithm and how you can use that yourself to find to plan out caches that you may be interested in finding. So that's on Project GC, but it's a fascinating algorithm. I think it'll be fun to talk about. I know we don't get too geeky about the thing because it does all the work for you. So you just click in some numbers and it'll give you it spits out some good information. So we'll talk more about that.
That'll be an interesting one. I bet based on the experience of some of our listeners, they've been they've been to several of the caches in the book. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and something that Jesse, you mentioned to me as far as I will have I'll have a bookmark, and if I make it public, and then we just give people the link, right?
Yeah, and we can put it in the notes and on the website as well for them to get to. So
yeah, and something I'm going to do also is make that list a little more user friendly for people also, in case they're interested in buying the book. I'll have that done before that show. So if you want to buy the book after you hear about the show and you want that, it's going to be like the third edition of I've already redone the book a couple times to fix some grammatical errors. So I'm going to put in another kind of update that list again, because there is in the back of the book, there's a state index. And I know a lot of people, when they buy the book, they flip to the back and look at the state index because they want to know what's near them, or if they're going to go somewhere, what caches are in New York, for example, and there's a list. So
a good question came up in the chat room too. Is that it's on Amazon?
Yes.
Is that available outside the US?
Yes.
Okay.
It's yes. It's and if you try to buy it from, like, say, if you're in Europe and you want to buy it, you go to an Amazon website, not US Amazon, but just like a international version of the Amazon website, and you can purchase it there as well.
Somebody says, hold on, there's a couple people talking about it now, but do they not have Amazon in Australia yet?
I'm pretty sure they do. Amazon.com.
I don't know. I mean, we just make those assumptions a lot of times, but
sure,
looks like they may not.
If not, you can also go to Create. You can go to the Create Space website. It's one word, createspace.com. You can purchase it from there. You can go to the Amazon. Go ahead.
We'll have to find out. We can't.
Yeah.
We have international listeners. We can't leave a chunk out. It's a really good book. So we'll have to research that a little bit. Maybe by the show we can know for sure. So
we'll give you some more info. Yeah, we can do some checking for. We've got folks in Australia that can help us out and give us some more information too. So, well, folks, we hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Please email us your comments either at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We're always tweeting about various things, so definitely follow us. The show is at Geocache Talk. Mine is at Gary Slinkard, one word. Jesse is at Memphis_Mafia. And Sydney is at Shermanator GC. And Facebook is facebook.com/Geocache Talk. We're always putting some good stuff on there, so definitely follow that page. Jesse's really good about putting out some good info, and each at least one a week, and so we try to make sure and update that. And the show can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Podcastpedia,
Amazon
as well
Alexa.
Amazon Alexa, exactly, very good, as well as the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button. We appreciate everybody who's done that. And that's below if you're watching on YouTube. And from that, you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching. Attend a mega like Sydney did, and then go geocaching. So good night, everybody.
Right.
Right.